LLMOS is number two. What's number three, Sadie?
Number three is I think we're finally going to see what I'm calling a slow thinking model. So, most people are familiar with the book Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. We have built large language models that are really good at the thinking fast, right? They're good at the creative, they're good at um, kind of the unconscious. If you think about like the hallucinations, right? They're just like throwing words together, and a lot of times they're very helpful and it makes sense. And we have gotten amazing use out of it. But if you look at things like how well these models do at performing math, they are still not at a passing grade level. So, probably the best report.
So you do have Q star in here. You may not have known it, but this is it. This is it. This is the Q star thing.
Once you explained it more, I was like, oh, that fits in number three. I thought you were talking about
Yeah.
Q stars being needed for having less data. And so I was like, no,
Well,
I haven't
yeah.
heard of Q star for that.
It ends up, I think, having that side effect because it is thinking more slow. Like it's less about regurgitating. It's less about auto completing the next sentence, and it's more about. I think it is this. Like I think this was using Daniel Kahneman as in his book Thinking Fast and Slow as the analogy here was a brilliant way to do it. But this is it. I think this is exactly what you're talking about with Q star.
Okay, so whether it's Q star or whether some other company comes out with it, we're all talking about the same thing, which is really a slower thinking model. So one that can be rational, one that has logic and more reasoning, and more importantly, performs better on mathematical tests. So if you look at the latest stats from Google Gemini, where they're comparing GPT-4 to Gemini Ultra, I mean, pretty much everything we're in the like at least minimum like 70 to 90%, right, on different tasks. But when we get to mathematics, we're not even at a passing grade level at 50%, right? So we have a lot of progress left to make in this area. And I think this is where the focus is going to be. Now, I have a side prediction on this, which is if we are able to create a slow thinking model, I don't know if we will see it released to the public in 2024. And the reason that I say that is because if a model can actually perform mathematics at a higher functioning way, there is concerns about encryptions being broken and lots more security concerns than we've seen with the traditional LLMs today. So that's kind of a side token, which is I think we're going to have the breakthrough of it. If, let's say, for instance, OpenAI does have it and that is working, I think one of the reasons we may not see it yet is just some of the safety concerns of what happens when you have a ultra powerful model that can run mathematical equations and predictions released to the public.
Right. Yeah. Or just more CEOs might get fired from all the big tech companies. Their CEOs going to get fired in 2024 because all of them are going to come up with a Q star like solution and everyone's going to revolt and say it's the end of the world. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely, there are risks, but also enormous positive potential, new scientific discoveries, physics understanding. Like if I mean, this really is. I mean, people don't what the word AGI means is quite nebulous, and we've talked about that in a number of recent episodes on the show. Most particularly with episode number 729 with Professor Blake Richards. If you want some nuanced discussion of the concept of AGI, but in terms of a general idea, it really does seem like if this is happening, it could be 2024. That yeah, you're right. Maybe not in the public, but it could at least be in the private that we have this key piece of AGI figured out, and maybe there will be some scaling up or some fine tuning or more data required after that. But yeah, potentially super game changing, and yeah, hopefully we'll make a big positive difference more than a Armageddon like difference. Cool. All right. Yep. You got something else? I see you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
see
just
you
excited
inhaled.
for. So you can hear the breath, deep breath in. I'm very excited about this because I think this is where we can possibly reach some additional scientific breakthroughs. And so the impacts of this on health and physics and biology, I think are really tremendous. And so that excites me the most about some of these slow thinking models. But more importantly, I think that this has a really good opportunity to, if you think about what we're building, essentially we're building the brain of what will soon be a robot, right? So, this goes on to as like a little bit of a side prediction, but I love watching Tesla's AI conference day or AI day. And, while their bot doesn't work that great today, if we can see where it's headed and think about these models that we're building with the large language capabilities and some of the reasoning capabilities, what happens when we take that and that truly is the brain that goes into some of these robots? To me, that's when we get into a very ultra futuristic state, because not only is it something that's kind of locked in my computer or my phone, but now has the capability to walk and talk and move.